How's it going, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Show 72. Give people a second to hop on. Share this in a few places. Hope y'all had decent days today. Today is 6/27, almost through the month of whatever month it is, June. Super exciting. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, guys, how's it going? I am Gator. Welcome to evening show. I need to come up with a name with this. Swamp Side's just for Friday. I've got to come up with another name for the evening show. Other than evening show, I mean, I guess it is plain and simple, and that is how we do things, just keeping things simple. So, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the market. I'm going to talk about the main purpose of this show is identifying price action early in the day. I actually was able to save a green day because I pretty much just was like, okay, this is the type of day it is, same as Friday, until proven otherwise. Size down, scalped. So we'll talk about how I kind of identified that early. And this is kind of the continuation of what we've been talking about, which is just overall price action and the way the market and the way kind of the stocks moves and ways to identify different things. So I might make a playlist, and then eventually I'll do a master video on this. It kind of puts together the topics and is edited down into a smaller whatever, and then I'll give my thoughts on the market and what I'm looking for going into tomorrow and all of that. With all that being said, what's up, Con? Let's kick it tonight, guys. So, again, guys, like, share, subscribe. If you do like this type of content, you want to support the channel, best thing you can do, unless you just want to send me, $1 million or whatever it is just like the videos, share them with your friends, subscribe to the channels, hit the notification bell so you know when I go live, so you can come support, watch the streams and the other videos that I upload. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me and to the channel overall if you can do that. So if you like this and you do, please go ahead. So let's look at a few things really quick. So GME, I shorted this today and still have a small position in it. This is not trading advice. Nothing I say should be trading advice, investment, or anything else. I have a very small short in GME. I called it out and then I got out of it. So I got in it here. No, somewhere around here. And then I actually got out of it somewhere. And then I got back in it in this candle because I was like, you know what? And I'll talk about this in a minute. I've kind of been trying to evolve or adapt how I've been trading some longer holds. And I'll talk about it at a later time, but I've been sizing down dramatically and thinking about adding to positions. Like I liked this short when it hit here, and I thought about, giving it room to here and like adding on 25 and adding here and then getting stopped out. I don't like trading like that, but I had considered doing stuff as opposed to just, you're out. Okay, you're back in at about the same price and taking a loss and like having to time your entries. Something I've thought about. I know it's a way a lot of other people trade. Not a massive fan of it, but that's not the purpose of this this video. Either way, as soon as this pop came into GME, I thought we were going to retrace it. So I did end up shorting it, got stopped out, and then got back in it. And sold most of the contracts. So I'm green, and if the rest of the contracts went down to 0, I'd be fine. So I have a little bit, and I might be adding to this position. Especially if we have a green day in GME tomorrow, I'll definitely be adding to the position. So I'm kind of hoping for that. Let me get this out of the way, and let's talk about today. So let's talk about price action in this morning. More importantly, let's talk about the macro, meaning the big picture. What I'm learning is in order to understand what is happening or what could happen, you need to understand the big picture. And I'll have more coming on this in the future. But what is the big picture of where we are at in a day, when you sit down at the computer at 8:30, 9, 6 a.m., whatever time you're sitting down at the computer to start trading, what is the picture over the last couple days? What are we doing on the daily? What are we doing on the hourly? What is our big time frame macro picture? Well, we said this morning when we sat down, and if you're in Andrew's, the pre-morning meeting, you know, a lot of us kind of hop in there, and anybody, doesn't have to be me, anybody can literally just give their ideas. So we do that. And, you know, we said this morning, we don't like a lot. Why? Well, we're 4 or 5 days. We've just been in a steady up move. You're coming to a lot of, you know, a lot of resistance in a lot of different names. The market might need a breather. We expect a few inside days. We have GDP numbers on Wednesday. So we kind of expect we have a little bit of a gap up. Now, if we take off at the open and it seems like that buying confidence is there, what are we looking for? So you have kind of like one or two options. It's like, hey, we're gapping up a little bit. Okay, so we're gapping up a little bit. We are either going to rip, and you're going to see that, like, man, this stock is just going and it just feels strong. That feeling that you get when when a name is just taking off, and you're going to get that strong. And what you're going to get is what you saw in the video we did the other day with the stochastics, Fibonacci levels, and how they're moving. When you actually tag them, they're going to work. And it's not that they don't work when you do stuff like this, but on days like this, they're actually, you would actually get something to work. So if you're gapped up like this, what you could expect to see is a 50% retracement and then a pop. So what you do have here, kind of at first, is this here 50% retracement. From the 200, we gapped up. We're not super gapped up, but we're fairly gapped up here. So you would expect to see a 50% retracement and then a bounce, which you did see, but this should have broken out. And then we should have went higher if it would have been super strong. Or we would have dropped down, and then if we were going to be super weak, after, let's remove this fib, after this move, you would have seen a move roughly to the 21 here, and then we would have shorted, or it would have came up into the 50% retracement and then failed. What happened instead? So zoom out, what happened? So at this point in the day, you could be like, man, we went down, we didn't fast 50, we failed a 2-minute breakout, and then we went lower into the 2-minute 200, we went up, and instead of hitting the 21 and failing and flushing, we broke through it. All right, what in the world? All right, this is going to be crappy, choppy price action all day. Unless we break through day highs, we're more than likely going to come somewhere up in here. We're going to fail. And we're just going to do this. We're not going to put in higher lows, and then we just kind of mess around and eventually break down or go sideways and break up. You don't know what's going to happen, but early in the morning, if you know what you're looking for, you can know what not to trade. So I'm looking at this, and it's doing this. And instead of hitting the 21 and flushing, which is how you know to stay away. So it's like if this would have hit the 21 here, and this candle starts going down, you're like, okay, this is bearish. We could see an actual flush. It could flush the 200, what up graph, and go down. The 1006 candle, this one, I might have shorted this too. I actually might have been doing Amazon instead. I might have done Amazon instead of this one. This was a good short. So, but once you identify that you're in a chop zone or that you're going to be doing that, you can change how you trade these names. You can not hold them for as long. You can be like, hey, we're probably not going through day highs, so I'm going to watch for a shooting star reversal like Khan is saying. So you know what? We're in a chop mode. We hit the 2-minute 200, which is always a long, so you definitely long. I'm pretty sure I longed here too. You can long off of that and then sell, and you know what, we chopped around at VWAP or higher, look for a shooting star reversal, something like this, a breakdown, and then you could sell into the 21. So you can start creating trades in your head once you realize we're not just going to be in a down move or an up move. And I think it was pretty clear early in this name anyway, that in Tesla, that we weren't going to do that. And you could see the exact same thing in the Qs. This chart looks identical, 2-minute chart. We gapped up. We're roughly equal distance between all three of these. We gap up. little bit higher. Instead of just pulling in and maybe filling the gap, or just going to the 50%, which is this little support area, which we do, and then a little bit of breakout, and then an instant fail, go all the way down to the 200, and then pop back up. You know, you don't just fail at the 21, you kind of do, but then you rip up, come back down, and then pop. So you can identify by knowing what you're looking for in a strong name. So in the 2 trade review videos that I did, and the one on Friday, I think, we talk a little bit about things working. Well, how do you know you're in a choppy price action or you're just not trading well? You just identify what is actually happening. And you're like, okay, well, if this was a bullish or bearish move overall, so the macro, if we were in a continued breakout, so in order to get an actual bull move today and bullish price action, you would have needed things to be buying and going up. And so as soon as you identify that, hey, that's not happening, you throw that idea out the window and you don't care about what your preconception was that you had, your plan for the day. If we were just going to run up, instead you say, okay, we're not going to do that. Now, unless something happens, that's done. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to consolidate or we're going to sell off. Didn't really look like we were going to sell off. We were holding the 2-minute 200. We got really grindy. ATR got low, so it's like, okay, not a lot of volume. Macro, what's happening in the market? We've got this news on Wednesday. Good chance we don't sell off today and flush super hard. You know, it doesn't seem like we really want to. We're hitting these levels and bouncing, at least now. We'll wait and see what happens later in the day. Let's find some pivot highs to short. And I agree with what Anya's saying. The PI was really bad. I didn't get PI in Tesla until like 15 minutes into the day. For those of y'all who don't know, that's price improvement. And price improvement can really be key for making money early and scalping it. I actually did win in Tesla. It was more because I just held. I didn't get good PI, but I was paying more attention to the trade than my entry on the option. And then I looked back, I was like, holy crap, I should have made more than that. And it was because I wasn't getting PI. But I did not make a lot in Tesla, and I lost on several trades because of the PI, or I broke even on it. But I barely took any trades early today. And it was because when you understand, or at least have an idea of what you're looking for at the macro level, or a realistic idea of where we're at the macro level, you can adjust and say, okay, what am I looking for as soon as the market opens? Okay, this can happen. All right, nope. Instead of doing that, we went down. All right, did we hit a 50% retracement on the fibs? Nope. Okay, what happened when we hit the 200? We bounced. Did we just bounce to 50% and fail? Did we just bounce to the 21 and fail? Nope. We broke through the 21, and then we broke through the 50% retracement of the move, and now we're chopping around. And then look, you set in a higher pivot low. So if you break the 50% retracement and come down, you're more than likely not going to make a lower low right away. So we didn't. We hit the 200 and we bounced. So there were plays to be had, which I actually took some of these, not heavy. If you understood, oh, hello. I need to make some people some mods so I can delete these things. Remove. Let's see if I can block this person. Hide user on channel. There you go. Crazy bots. Oh, they've been all viewed, and that person's been, or bot has been blocked. So the Russians, dude. So when you have that, you can be like, okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to be super selective, and I'm going to sit here for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to wait for this to test again, and I'm going to play short scalps off of that. And then we test again. I'm going to play a short scalp off of that, not for much, but for a little bit. Or you can find names that are trending. For instance, Amazon. Amazon, a little bit different today. I made my money, I think I shorted here and got stopped out, and then I shorted here and I made this. And I said my target, so here's what I did in Amazon. I called this out, and then I had Screaming Kids, and I don't know if I called the second one out. But so here's Amazon. Amazon, a different story, guys. So what's up, Naveen? It might be Twitter. I think they're just on here and Twitter. So here's the difference. If you're looking at names and you want to kind of find a name, okay, something that's working or something that you could short in this annoying price action, what's weaker than the market? What's weaker than other names? Amazon did this. You initially did hit the 200 and bounce, but then unlike every other name, you actually flushed the 200. I didn't short Amazon here off the 200. Instead, I actually shorted it here and then got stopped out, and then I shorted it again up here off VWAP. And you can see this is the 61% retracement. So my idea on this short, the first short, was we hit the 8. I front ran the breakdown here, it broke down and then popped up against me and I got stopped out. Okay, that's fine. The second entry for me is the next red takes green after the 2 minute or the 61% retracement. So it went up, 61% retracement, timed in with VWAP. We broke down. I took Amazon here and got out at low a day. I think I called that in the room. My exit said out half, and then my other half was here, and I got stopped out here of the other half. Probably should have taken more on a day like today. But final target on this trade that I was looking for was 1235. Now, doing little things like that, zooming out, finding what is happening in the market overall, what names are reacting a certain way, how are they trading, where are they at, what is the macro, what names, these names are running up, these names are overly weak, these names are overly strong. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. Nice on you. Yeah, it was nice. I'm glad you made money on that one. So it's like, okay, I'm zoomed out. All right, so what's happening in the market overall, the price action, the macro, the big picture. Now let's zoom it down. I wanted Tesla, or I wanted Amazon, or I wanted these names to do, I wanted it to hit the 21 and fail. It didn't. No, I can get mad, or I can just be like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and take 50 scalps. I'm either going to scalp it long or whatever. I'm going to look for a specific trade. If I don't think it's going to go through day highs because we're going to be in a chop zone, I'm going to wait for a shooting star into some level below high a day. Once I see a candle like this or like this, I'm going to try to short scalp this. I'm not saying I'm going to take it all the way down, but I'm going to look for some type of trigger to the downside. And I'm just going to try to make a little bit. This would have been a fine short, even if you got stopped out at VWAP. That's a fine short. Start popping, that's fine, whatever. Wait for it to get back up. Take another kind of shooting star. Red takes green on the 2 minute. Take that down. Write it down for a little bit of money. Big picture is extremely key. And that's how you identify your price action and where you're at. And if you go at the end of the day, kind of like I'm doing here, except I just do this on my own, and I flip through, I'm doing it with you guys now, but I just flip through charts. I shorted shop today too. I don't think I called shop out. And you just look at names that are moving down, and you're like, okay, well, what did I see here? Well, we dropped down, we hit the 8, we're going down, and you can kind of flip through different names and see if there's one that's weaker than the market, that's stronger than the market, and you take a few, you get, at least for me, this is what I do, I'm not telling anybody else what to do, and then I realized that on a choppy day, it's going to be very hard to pick the levels. Because like what happened in Tesla, let me delete this shop line really quick. Here's what your risk is, especially on a day when you don't get good PI, price improvement, meaning orders and entries and stuff. You're like, okay, so I'm just going to try to short Tesla when it hits these different levels. Let's say you make it a point or two when you're right. And then you're like, yeah, but you lose one here at the 21, you lose here one at the VWAP, and then you make one. And then you might try another one and you break even, and it gets harder to be right on choppy days, or you have to hold a lot longer to be right. So as soon as you notice this is the price action for today, I had probably the fewest trades that I've taken in a long time today, because it was just like, it ain't there, and I'm going to be wrong more than I'm going to be right today. I'm going to have to take losses. I'm going to be stopped out a couple of times before I'm right. So you know what? Let's just wait. Let's not trade, let's just wait. And I barely took any trades until later in the day, even though there were a few of them, just because there wasn't that much there. And I was identifying that early and be like, okay, I'm up, small 4 figures. I'm good for the day. It's like if all I make is $2,000 a day, that's fine. Like 2,500, that's consistent. That's profitable. That keeps me on a very good overall metric. That keeps me in this, like your $2,000 a day. That's, that keeps that average going to make that $500,000 in a year. That's pretty good. You're doing pretty good if you do that a day, or 500 a day, or whatever your goal is. And you're just like, hey, I'm good. And you identify that early by having an idea of the big picture stuff. For instance, we're extended, we've been running up for 4 or 5 days. If you fib the entire move, we've kind of been retracing, you're coming to in descending trend lines. All this stuff, you have stuff happening this week. Okay, there's a chance that we run up and break to the upside, but are we, okay, I think we could do that. That's fine. I think we can still do that. I don't know that we're going to, but it's possible if you catch a bid tomorrow and somebody wants to push it and we open up flat. Sure, we can run a little bit, but okay, we're not running. Now what? What's up, feeling bullish? Now what's happening? And you can identify that really quick by just how it reacts to that 50% retracement, that and then your 21 and your 200. As soon as Tesla doesn't act the way I want it, I either wait for like super high conviction shorts or longs, or I change to other names. And I'm sitting here shopping through other stuff. Shopping. I said I looked at shop, flipping through other things, and being like, what names do I like? Would I just like to short the Qs with JR? Is there something else I see? Do I like NVIDIA? Is there something I see in Moderna? Is there something? There's nothing I see in Meta. I drew this line. I think I liked Meta here. I think I called Meta long, or I didn't call it long, but I said Meta. I liked Meta. And I drew this, and after it bounced off this and it came back down on the 200. It was interesting. I didn't make money on that one though, but I look for stuff like that. Sup, Martin? Thanks for coming out. Again, guys, if you like this stuff, you can always leave a like, comment, all that stuff. I appreciate it. And you can see, you can identify this stuff in the names that you're playing really early. Are they doing what they do on days when you make money? And if you journal, or after a day when you have really good and you make some really good trades, like the trades that I did in Amazon and whatever that we showed on the trade review videos, they did exactly what we wanted. They kind of did what Roku did here. They kind of went down. You had a nice move. You were compressed. So compression and expansion is another key to this when you're asking, where's the market at? What's the market doing? Big picture, the macro. Are we compressed? Are we expanded? What name was compressed at the open? Roku, very compressed at the open. Instead of having to gap down and then through much stuff, we pretty much gapped through all of this, flushed the 21, flushed the 200 on the 2 minute, bam, 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 just straight down, pop back up orderly on digestive volume. Yeah, volume's going down, so you've got descending volume on this pop for the most part. You pop right back into the 21, and then you have a red take screen, which is your first red take screen, close to that 61% retracement, but more importantly, the 2 minute 21. And then, you hit that 127.91. So there were names that worked today. I didn't play this name. I'm just reviewing charts right now to be like, oh, I was wrong. I should have traded Roku. Was there something? Why wasn't this name on my list? So you know what I should have done? I should have actually expanded my list a little bit and made sure that I was looking at what names were compressed. I didn't check that this morning. I forgot to check that. I was looking at different names and stuff. I didn't check the 2 minutes for compression. Roku might have been on there. This was a beautiful short, 2 minute 21 off of a first leg down. Pop back up into the 2 minute 21, and you perfectly hit your 127 pivot. Look, even on a day like today's, a named work. You had to identify compression at the beginning of the day, the flush, the overall move back to the 21, or one of the retracements. And actually, if I flip this the other way, I think Kelly actually draws these different than I do, which makes him right, not me, but I think he does it like this. Or he has it flipped around towards the other way. So you did hit the 23% and, whatever. And then you hit your thing. So that was a target play, and that was a move. And that worked. So there were plays out there that worked. So you can go through at the end of the day and identify, okay, we were a choppy day. Was there something in the names that worked that were really good? Was it compression? Was it expansion? Somebody asked me when I took Amazon short. I called that earlier. Yeah, it was I shorted here and lost, and then I shorted here and made it. Anya made with that one. And then I think at that point I was pretty much done with my day until I shorted GME later in the day. Here's another one, Square. I didn't play Square today. Looks like it worked. I mean, it popped up here. I guess you could draw it this way, and you could say it hit the 61% retracement. You could also draw it this way, and you could have taken this entry, and then you would have got down here, and you would have taken profit before you got there, pop back up into the 21. You could reshort, and that would have done that. You could also draw it like this and it doesn't hit target, this is your first pullback for sure. Square, another name, compressed at the open. Dropped down below both. Didn't slow down. I think this is key. If you're looking for overall price action, you're looking for names and what they're doing. How do they respect the 2-minute 200, the 2-minute 21? 21 EMA, 200 SMA. These names that I showed you that worked, cut right through them like a knife on butter, continued to drop, and then popped back up to them. What names didn't do that? Tesla, the Qs. Those names did not just rip through the 2-minute 200, they hit it and bounced. This name ripped through it and then came back up to it, and it was a short. That's an indicator you can use on your chart. So we're compressed, we're expanded, we're coming in. We hit this and bounced. What do I need to realize is happening here? We're not in a continuation down move. We didn't flush the 200. We also didn't bounce off the 21 if we're talking Tesla and then continue shorter. I shouldn't be playing this aggressive. I should look for a few plays and then lock it in, because you're going to get this grindy sideways action all day. Or if you want to play other names, I'm going to scan AMC, great today. And I'm going to look for names early in the morning, of course. What's this? I don't know what this is. Oh, I was fibbing a bigger move in Google. I shorted Google today too. I forgot about that one. I went really light and I shorted Google somewhere down here. I don't remember where I shorted this. Maybe here. I don't remember. I think it was here because it was here. Because you had Google breaking down below the 200. It came up and hit the 21. I didn't make much in it, just like small 2 contract stuff because I was bored and it was like 11:30. So identifying little things like that. That is how price action, understanding price action, tape reading, micro stuff that's kind of going on. Like I never take any single thing. Like there's no single pattern. It's like, oh, hey, here's a wedge. I'm going long. Hey, here's a cup and handle. I'm going to do this. Here's this. Where are we in everything? What is happening? What do I need to do to make this trade work? You know, is this a really quick scalp? Are we just hitting a moving average like a 2-minute 200 and we're looking for a bounce? Did we just flush it? Now we're coming back up to it. Identifying these things in the big, broad picture is going to help you be successful intraday early. Because once I realized, and once we realized, it's like, hey, this is going to be a sideways day. We need a continuation, or we needed this. You didn't get continuation, so you're going to get a choppy, sideways, grindy action. And you can tell that by how the price action was acting early. And I was like, okay, we got no PI in Tesla. We got annoying fills in this. There's definitely money to be made and some stuff that's happening. We need to be very selective with our trades. No bending, no smashing in, no buying every 1 minute failed breakout and breakdown. Wait for the levels. All right, take it. Take the money, take the quick money. All right, boom, I'm done. And by using the fib lines and by using the moving averages on the 2-minute charts, at least for me, especially the compression and expansion early, you can begin to see those things and identify them and be like, okay, this is what we are in. I think this is how you grow as a trader, to become independent from me, independent from Geronimo, independent from other people in the bandit room. And it's not that we don't want to trade together, but we all want to be able to see these things ourselves and be like, oh, look what's happening. No, I don't like that. Like, instead of just following something I say, you look at it and you're like, yeah, I see what he's looking at. This is happening. So I'm just going to ride that wave a little bit and take what I can. You can do that if you can identify early, instead of just bending and being like, okay, this is going to happen. And you just hit that preconceived notions like really early. You can find out, yeah, that's not going to happen. And you'll do a lot better if you start taking in that big picture stuff and then take it down. And you can see what happened today when, if you watch the last 2 trade review videos and the show I did on Friday, your like how things look when it does work. And then as soon as it's not working, if you know what it's supposed to look like when it works, like, oh, this feels different, this looks different, the price is going differently, the PI is not good, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm not being aggressive. We're going to be very selective. We're going to watch and wait. We're going to kind of see what the market is forming. We're forming these lower lows, like what's happening. All right, so if I think the market is going to be choppy, what happens? I might have taken, I think I was shorting Amazon. I'm not sure if I took this short. Maybe I did. But if you're like, okay, we're in a choppy market. We're going up. We're on the 2-minute chart here. We're down, we're in here. We're coming back up. All right, so we're in a choppy market. We're not very strong. I don't know that we're going to break out. We're coming back to the top of this previous wedge. What can I do to make money? What trade am I looking for? Well, let's wait and see if it fails to break out here. So if we're not going to go higher on the day, we're going to go lower. We probably put in a lower pivot high. We're probably going to go lower. We're not going to break out through here. Let's see if I can get a chance to reverse this. All right, so it's coming up. Let's wait and see. Let's wait. We come off, and then we start breaking down. You're like, all right, well, we've failed to get closer. And then you can take a short in here, and you can actually catch a short. At least to the 21. I don't know if you'd want to hold, like I personally wouldn't hold that long, but you can start looking for shorts near these pivots, and you can take a smaller size so you have the ability to hold a little bit longer. And there are little things like that you can start developing and putting in your strategies. You can time that up with stochastics. You can time that up with other things that you're looking at to help you make money, identify a few of those things, and then bam, you'll see the trades. You'll see what the market's in. You're not going to get bent early and just aggressive, and now you're down 8K because you were smashing 30 contracts or something when it's a 5 contract or a selective day. And you can be okay, and you can develop these ideas on your own. You can develop trading on your own as you start. And I'm just using one method, the fibs, like the Fibonacci, the Kelly stuff, the Geronimo stuff, measured moves. And I'm putting all that kind of together, and then you're just looking at it. And you're like, okay, I see this. All right, I see this. All right, here's a possibility. Now, this isn't the C strategy, but all right, if we're not going to break out, we're breaking down. Interesting. I like this short. We're coming up here, same thing. We're coming down to we bounce off the 2-minute 200. Like, here's a long in Tesla. That's a pretty easy long, in my opinion. You're bouncing around here. You just have a drop down below the 2-minute 200. Like, you shouldn't be shorting here into the 2-minute 200 for sure. In my opinion, you're wrong if you're shorting into that 90% of the time. But, you're going into that, and you have a candle that does this hammer here on the 2-minute. Yo, I'm long this, like, all the time. This is like an all-the-time long when you see this through a 2-minute 200. And there's your pop. And so you can start waiting. You can start being patient because you have identified what's happening. So you can, now that you've detached, you've backed up, you've looked, your OODA loop is going, you're observing what's happening in the market, you're deciding, you're oriented, you're observing what's happening in the market, you're clear-headed, you're not aggressive like right in here trying to find something, you're looking, you're scanning through, what am I looking for? And part of a trading plan, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a stock that does this. I'm looking for a stock that is going to do this. Like, that's going to make a move like this. So what names, let's look at Netflix. I didn't look at Netflix. What names are doing this? What names were compressed at the open? What up, Robert? What names were compressed at the open, broke through the 200, then came back up and hit the 21 and VWAP. Oh, look at that. Look how that works. So if all you were doing was you were really detached this morning, you weren't honed in on Tesla or some of these other names. I was. But if you weren't and you were just scanning and you're like, okay, what was compressed? What was expanded? All right, Tesla's choppy. This name's choppy. Roku was compressed. Roku broke the 2-minute 200. What was the name I was just on? Netflix. Roku, Netflix, and there was some other ones. And other names on your watch list, Shopify was the other one. You see those things happening. Roku followed Netflix followed our plan absolutely perfectly. The trading strategy that I showed on those last 2 videos, Kelly's strategy worked on this one. Compression at the open, you bust through this one on a gap up with the market. You're obviously weaker than the market. All right, you're done with your down move. You wait for your next leg to set in. You start popping up. All right, so here's your actual short, which is probably where you would have taken. Maybe you get stopped out here, but if you set a stop and you take the right size, like a little bit above it, or you can get back in if you just want to get stopped out, you take this short, and there's your target of 127, 127. And that is from entry, if you had the lowest entry at the actual trigger, that's like a pretty decent move in Netflix. You're definitely going to get paid on that. So you're going to get paid in Netflix. If you were patient and you were just looking for compressed names at the open that broke the 200, oh look, you would have got paid in Roku, the exact same thing. I bet the 127, I already showed it once, but the 127 hit here. Oh look, the 127 hit here. After your first leg down, boom, pop. So you had that second leg. You know, I think that one probably hit too, and Tesla didn't, because Tesla was because Tesla did this. Tesla wasn't compressed, it was expanded. It did not respect it. It hit the 21, and instead of breaking out, I talked about this at the beginning of the show. I won't do it again. Go back and watch it. If it was going to be bullish continuation, it would have broke out here and continued. I would have been long, and I would have been showing you a different video tonight about how I made $1 billion in this. Not that, but how I killed this trade. You know, Spotify, same thing. Drop up into the 8, a little bit here, and you hit the target. So you can start seeing that stuff. I didn't do a great job of it today, other than Amazon. And you can do that. If you try to do that in Microsoft, it's not going to work. Why? You're in a semi-expanded state, not really, but you come down, you don't flush the 2-minute 200, you come back up into the 21, and instead of actually flushing, you just pop higher. All right, so yeah, we're done with that. That name's not going to work. Let's go to the next name. That's in Kelly's video, Anya. So it basically means the 2-minute 200 and the 21 were together on the names that work today. So let's zoom into these names. And it was a really good question on you. Look at how we opened in Netflix today, guys, on the 2-minute chart. Look at this price action. So we're gapped up a little bit, but there's the 2-minute 21 and 2-minute 200. This is compression. This is expansion, or more expansion. What Netflix looked like later in the day is this is expansion. 2-minute 21 and 200 really far apart. Right here, you have compression. Let's go to the other names that worked today. Worked as far as what we're looking for the target hitting the 127 or different stuff like that. Follow through on your trade and your move. Roku. Look where we're at the morning, guys. We are in a compressed state. We flush with the market. Instead of bouncing off the 200, we flush the 200, we come down, we pop back up to the 21, and we hit our 127. What did all these names have in common that worked? They were compressed when other names were expanded. Boom, boom, boom. 127 hit. There's your short. Showing you all the secret to the market. Now the other names didn't, and you could tell. Look, Apple. Like, oh man, well, why didn't Apple work? Look, expansion. Expansion, expansion. We pull down, we bounce, we fail to go higher. We pull into the 21, we chop, we fail to go higher. It's just a grind higher all day. Well, it's a grind higher early. I don't know what Apple did today. And then we fail and we come back to a semi-compressed state. But yeah, this isn't compressed. And you're bouncing off these moving averages. Spotify. Spotify, I think, was just Spotify was compressed too. But I think just the way this name moves, I didn't trade this one. I don't think. I probably wouldn't have traded this one. It's a really big gap up, and it's not compressed either, because you can see here, here, and here, this isn't compressed. Amazon, not really compressed, but definitely more compressed in here. So not super compressed overall, but you did gap down, and the key to Amazon was even after you bounced. So here was the key and why I liked Amazon short. Here and then here is unlike every other name, and I wasn't watching Roku and Netflix. They weren't on my, sadly, I wish they weren't on my watch list, is because you actually broke the 200 in Amazon when nothing else did. You came back up to it, and then you failed. That's why I like Amazon short. It's one of the few names where you broke the 200 on the 2-minute. Yeah, that's right, Anya. So it's the 2-minute and the 21 are close. You're compressed. When they're expanded, you're separate. And notice all the trades that worked for follow through were compressed, and you broke the 2-minute 200. Then when you came back up, you shorted, and it worked in each one of these. This was compressed. AMD was compressed, but it didn't respect the moving averages. So here, AMD is one of those names that is kind of compressed, a big gap up actually. Too much of a gap up, but you do bust through you do bust through the 200. This would have looked like a good short right here, not gonna lie. Did it? It never triggered, never triggered. Here's your first trigger, so let's fib this to see what happens, and we'll zoom in. I'll test all these names. So we went down. There's your first move through the 200, pops back up. You probably get stopped out, or you try a short here, to be honest, because you're at the 21, just realistically speaking. Maybe take another one here or not, I don't know. But you pop back, you don't fail at the 21 VWAP and all this. Instead, you kind of break through the 200 and then you come back down. So that was a short here. This one wasn't as easy. So this one would have been a name that I probably would have gotten stopped out on. AMD, I didn't like that today anyway. But yeah, Square is one that worked. You were very compressed, semi-compressed at the open. You flush the 200. Pop up to the 200, instantly fail it with volume. That's like a nice sign. Wait for it to come back up, test the 200, have a quick stop in place, or you get stopped out and re-enter again, depending on how you trade, and you have a short there. And this one worked and hit the moving average. And this isn't armchair quarterbacking. Like, oh, look what could have happened. This one you missed a little bit too. Unless you do this, then you hit whatever. I'm doing this to be like, what can I look for in the market, the macro overall data, at the beginning of the day to identify where we might be at? Okay, now what is happening intraday is what I want to happen, and I'm using Fibonacci levels, and you can use JL support levels on the price action, the movement today, and the level 2 in the name you're watching, and how it's reacting when it hits the 200 and the 21 and these different support and resistance levels. What are they telling me overall? So I have the big picture, and then I have my micro, what's happening and what I'm doing. How are these names respecting these levels? All right, they're doing this. All right, these are my targets. All right, it's a choppy day. I should take profits early. And you start putting all of these little things together, and then boom, you have a trading plan. You have something you're looking, part of a trading plan. You have the idea for a trade, I guess you should say. You have a trade idea. Something I'm looking for. I'm sitting here, all right, I'm waiting for this. All right, this has happened. Here's how I'm going to execute it. Here's what I'm looking for. Risk management. It's a sus day, not getting good PI. I'm going to size down. I'm going to take this, give the trade a little bit of room. I'm going to let it work. And you start putting these things together. This video, what I'm talking about now, the price action, the choppiness early, how they're not respecting these levels, how it's not making the higher lows, you instantly know. It was like 10 minutes in, I knew it was going to be a bad day and like an ant day. And I was like, okay, cool. I still know I can make money. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to catch a few good trades and I'm done. Sadly, I missed Netflix and whatever the other one was, Roku. But and I didn't trade AMC today. But that stuff's there. You can identify it. There's no big secret to it. If you have a system of trading that makes you money consistently, like the Fibonacci levels do us and does me, timed in with the C strategies, you know, like, okay, we're in a overall breakout mood. So now really quickly, let's tie this in with the C strategies. And if y'all have questions, ask it. And if not, I'll wrap up after this. Tesla, there's no C strategies here today. Like, there's really none because the moving averages are not in the right direction. If Tesla went up or it bounced here, there would be C strategies. So there's 0 C strategies in Tesla. Until, I don't think there are going to be any C strategies in Tesla because the moving averages aren't in the right direction today. Yeah, last Monday was too. But we survived today, and now I feel really good going into tomorrow because I traded really well today. Not because I made a crap ton. I made decent money today, respectable money. But you know, so, and then let's look at Roku and see if there were any C strategies that worked in Roku, because it was actually breaking down and the moving averages were actually in the right position. So were there C strategies that worked here? That leaned in. I'm not going to count that. Let's go to the 1 minute. So let's go to the 1 minute. We have, oh look, we broke the 200. 40, 35. That's not it. That's not it. Here's your first C strategy. Excuse me. A Mark 1, know your limit 8. That worked. Here's your next one. A Mark 1. That worked. This is just on the 1 minute right now, by the way. All right, now you hit the 8. So we went down. So you had two C strategies that worked because we're in a proper bullish or bearish here sequence. You're in a proper sequence of events, which is a move and your leg and all that. So you're in this move down, an active sequence. C strategy works. C strategy works. We pop back up. Well, now we've hit final target, I think, haven't we? No, wait. I'm zoomed in. Sorry, I'm at the 1 minute. So that was just within the first leg. Now we're in the second leg. We're compressing since we hit the 8. Here's a breakdown after the 8. It popped up, so this kind of nullifies that one. But you have one here you probably get stopped out on. All right, that's fine. You don't play any of the other ones because it's out of play, so it's only the first time it hits. It hits, it breaks down here, you probably get stopped out if you're trying an 8. Now, if you're looking at multiple time frames, you know not to take this trade. But if you're not and you want to try it, you could get stopped out here. That's fine. We'll say that that's a stop out. All right, we hit the 21 on the 1 minute. We have a slight breakdown. We bounce up. So you probably take a loss here. You should be trading the 2 minute at this point, but then you break down here. We're not in an active down sequence here yet because we haven't triggered to the short side. But here's your thing. You probably get stopped here. You take a little bit. What's that? 95. What's that? Low is 56. Yeah, this doesn't do much. This is chopping around. Here's your next active sequence. You might have taken a loss here. If it was Tesla, you could have made money. In Roku, harder name to make money in. I'm just saying do C strategies work. We start breaking down again. I need a higher low. 40, 50. Nope, not lower. Here you go. Here's your next one. There's your C strategy. Back up to the 8. There's your C strategy. And then your move's over. I think it's easier to play on the 2 minute, especially in a name like Roku. But red takes green, pull in, you hit the 8. Next time you have a 2 minute breakdown after hitting the 8 is right here. Red takes green. Easier on the 2 minute than it is on the 1 minute in Roku and some of these names. But the C strategies still actually are effective. You have to be in a proper price action sequence for them to work. You can't be in the Tesla sequence for them to work. Now, 1 minute breakouts, 2 minute breakouts, 5 minute breakouts still work, but don't pretend that you're taking some type of defined strategy other than you're just assuming that this 5 minute is going to move you, and that's kind of based on a few other things. Like, there are ways to do that to make money just based on overall price action, what's happening. Like, you're like, oh, well, we're coming to this level. This is a demand zone. And, it's been bouncing off of this level and the supply zone. And there's these different things that you can do to make money in. Or we're in this compression. We're just sitting here kind of basing, and now we're breaking down. And then we finally break the 200. We pop back up to the 200. I'm just short scalping this a little bit. We hit the 200 again. And I'm going to scalp it short. And end of the day here, you're probably not doing it. But once you break the 200, you just short it every time it comes up. You can do stuff like that if you can hold it long enough and you do the proper risk management. But again, you can only do that if you've identified that and made that the trade you're looking to make and take. If you haven't done that, you're going to get chopped up on days like today. I was grateful I wasn't. I was just kind of chilling. And then my kids were really, really, really fussy today, so I kind of was helping with them and playing with them some. They like it when I run around with them. So that was the day. That's my thoughts on overall price action. Identifying it early. Let me know if this was helpful, guys. Let me know if identifying that early and what to look for. I can't tell you how much using those fib levels. As soon as you get going in the market, and as soon as you stop respecting them and they stop instantly working, and the 21 and the 200 aren't being respected, or they are and it's not doing what you want it to do, you have an instant all right, this is what the market's doing. This isn't what I want it to. Once you start seeing that, you know how it's going to be and how you need to trade that day. You can instantly identify the price action that you're in, and then you just change how you trade. If you're in a bullish sequence today and we hit that 21 and ripped, we would have made bank. I would have been smashing Tesla. I was ready to go heavy if we went out. We didn't. We failed that first 21 breakout. We didn't go, and I was like, okay. And then we bounced off the 200. I made fine. I made a few just level scalps. And I was like, all right, I'm done. And then caught Amazon and then GME late. And, it was fine. It was I'm happy with the day for a tough month, like Robert's saying. So I'm just glad I'm green and not large red. That's all that matters right now. So questions or thoughts. Let me know if this was helpful. If you're watching this after the fact, let me know. If there's something, can I fib Amazon? Yes. Sorry, I did not see that comment. Let me know if there's something else that you want me to do or expand on within what I'm talking about now. Or if I'm not clear and you want me to come back and do it with something else, or I'll try to call these out. I'll try to call these out earlier in the day or something like that. Here's a possible fib in Amazon here. Your first one, you had a pullback and a red takes green. So your first fib in Amazon down to the 200. You popped, red takes green. A little bit of a pop here. Red takes green to your 127. You then could do this and you pop up. You fail the 61% and down to low a day. I sold half of my position here. I held half for a continued flush down to the 127, and I got stopped out when we broke above the 21. On the rest of my contracts, that was my stop out. That was my Amazon trade. I should have known just to take it here. I'd also thought about doing this. I kind of mess with this both ways. And actually, this probably would have saved me in Amazon for those of you who do stuff like this. Oh yeah, thoughts on tomorrow. Is we retraced too much on the second leg, so we weren't going to make day lows. If we would have just hit the 50% retracement, which would have been right here, we would have, I think, made lower lows. And this second fib level would have worked. I believe just some of the nuances I'm noticing, because even though this hit, I expected this, but if we would have actually not gone up as much here and failed off of this, then we would have hit it. Because we went up too much on the second leg, we didn't go down. I've kind of noticing stuff like that. Just a random note for those of you who are still hanging out. Thoughts? Hey, what's going on? Thoughts on tomorrow? I don't have, let's see. I'm going to go through my charts in the morning to see what's compressed and what's not, because I'm going to bed after this. Amazon's not compressed. And I'll have to see where things are gapping at. Spotify, compressed. I think we could still see a rip. I'm not saying we're going to. I think what would hurt people the most, retail traders, is having a pop and a run up into the GDP numbers. I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know that there's enough liquidity in the market. But if you get a pop like that and you get people thinking that we're in the middle of a rally, you know, you could get an early morning run up. That doesn't mean I'm going to trade it like we're going to get an early morning run up. But I could see us making a run. You had a consolidation day, but now you have higher highs that you have to get through. If we don't gap up and we open up pretty flat, I do expect us to make a run, but I'd be watching for a breakdown. I have little to no confidence in anything at the moment, to be honest with you. I really don't have a lot that an opinion that's worth anything on tomorrow, other than I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and this is what I think because this is what I know. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to sit down hopefully a little bit before 9 or right at 9. I'm going to make a note. I've been doing it on a notepad of like the names that are compressed, and then listen to see where the market's at, see where the names that are compressed at, if they're opening up near one of those moving averages, and then the names that I like playing the most, I'm going to look to play, and Tesla will obviously be my most aggressive early name. So, oh, you're good, Judy. How's it going? So compression means so look at Tesla. Compression is the tightness. I did answer this earlier, but compression is tightness between, like on Kelly's show he did with me, if you go back and watch when Kelly came on and talked, compression is the level between the 200, the 21, and the price of the stock. So if you look here, we're kind of expanded. So here we're expanded. So very good to see you. It's great to have you. So within the course of a day, the price will do this between the 21 and the 200. And you're going to constantly have this. When you are in an expanded mode, like, you know, some of these were, and then you're hitting these moving averages and bouncing, you know, you have, as it were, less conviction. But when you look at names like Roku today, what am I doing? I lost my train of thought here. Hopefully I'm explaining this well. So when you look at Roku at the morning, what do you see? On the 2-minute 200, you see compression. So we have the 21, the 200, and all these very close together. So we're in a compressed state, which means the market is going to want to expand this name today. So instead of breaking up, we broke down. We broke through all of the moving averages. Unlike every other name in the market, we actually flushed. So we flushed all of these names. Now what am I looking for? I'm looking for a retracement, so 2-minute time frame. I'm now looking for it to touch the 21 or the 8, the 21 preferably. And we have this. So your fib, your line. We're compressed. We now broke through that compression down. And now we pop back up. All right, we hit the 21. You take your next red takes green, and you hit this target. So because we were in a compressed state, we flushed. We came back up to the 21. Red takes green. We hit the 127 pivot of 91.88. And now we're in a wide state. So you can see the 21, the 200, and the price now. We're in a wide state on this name. We're not compressed like we were here. So we went from a compressed state to a wide state. And that second leg is your play. The first leg can be your play too. Like this flush of the 200 and then this red, this would be your play here if you wanted to play the first one. Because you're in a compressed state, you broke the 200, you popped up and failed to get back through it. The red takes green on the 2-minute is your play. Yeah, that's compression and expansion. And now you're in an expanded state and you hit the 127 pivot, so now you don't short anymore. You're done shorting unless you were to hit the 21 here and you put in a red takes green, then you could theoretically, then you could short that and expect another leg down, or at least a retest of the low and then a bounce. But yeah. So the names that work today, if you go back and look and you want to see a second leg in the names, I don't know what all names worked, but Square, I think, worked, and Roku worked, and there might have been another one. You had the same thing. You had compression at the open, cut through the 200 2-minute, bounce back up to it, fail, and this would be the fib then here. And then you actually hit the 21 again here to get to that level, but you hit that level. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying compression and expansion, talking about the 2-minute 21 EMA, the 200 SMA, and the price. Where are they at in relation to each other? And if you see that at the open, that's what I look for. And when I find those names, I then play them off of the 221 in the morning. When I see those bounces, or I see the second leg, is really what I look for a lot of aggression. But something like that, when you cut through a 200, come back up to it and fail like that, to me that's very, in this case, bearish. As opposed to names like Tesla, who, although it was not extremely expanded to what it can get, was in a much more expanded zone, definitely not compressed. You do this, and if it's going to go higher, you're going to come in to the 50% retracement of the move. Well, actually it'd be this, which lines up pretty well. It'd be here. You would have hit here and popped. You didn't. You didn't even hit the 200 or the 21 and break out. You come down to the 200 and you break, but you don't get that continuation because you weren't in a compressed state. You didn't hit the 21 and rip. Instead, you cut through it, and then you're just playing basically this chop and fade all day. And the point of the show is kind of identifying those things early. And when you see this on a chart, this is garbage, or this is like quick scalps. This isn't breakouts and day long. This is like just playing the levels intraday and the support levels. So when you see this on your chart in the morning, it's like, yeah, I'm not touching that. But if Tesla looked like Roku today, this is just super easy money. You have your clear defined levels and your clear defined stuff, and you can just, do this in a compressed state, bust through that level, back up to the 21, short it. It's just, money if you can be detached from the market, see your names, wait for this to take up as the cues and these names are going, and you see what the cues in the market is doing. You see what names are playing how you want them to play. You make those your main targets. For me, it was Amazon, and you play that. And that's how I play these levels, and that's how I try to find the names if I'm like doing good that day, that I can zoom out and kind of see these things happening in the market. Yeah, man, I do, Colton. I just can't put them all in one video. But there's no single thing. So then all this can be timed up like with your stochastics and stuff. I have no idea what Roku do. I haven't even looked at Roku until this point in the day. Let's zoom in to Roku 2-minute stochastics. Let's see if that timed up that short with a stochastic. Oh my goodness, look how you have all of these things converging to give you confidence in your play. Look at this. I don't think I need to go to the 5-minute. I guess I could. I don't think 5-minute matters. 5-minute was at the, well, 5 minutes different time frame. Let me see. No, 5-minute wouldn't have been there. 5-minute was low. So really 1 and 2 minutes all that I use. Look at that. Look at those stochastics towards the top, not the bottom of the range. So I don't trade off of just any one thing. You put all of these things together, Night Naveen, and you look at it and you're like, all right, you have all these things timing up. This is a good area for a short. And then maybe you make your stop VWAP and you're like, okay, if we bust through VWAP, we're going to do, you know, make your stop whatever you want it to. You know, as this triggers, you could take this short here on the trigger and then your stop can be just above this candle or above this candle, whatever you want it to be. Or this candle actually, sorry, above the 21, and you let that trade go to 127. You take some profits off probably at the previous 100%. If I get out of this and go to this, generally speaking, I would take profits here just in case you're wrong or the market changes. So you take some off here, get a little bounce, sell the other half or other quarter down here, and that's generally speaking your trade, or that's how I like to trade them. So what I just went through, guys, is what I'm going to be looking for tomorrow. It's how I'm going to try to identify price action early in the day, looking at this to be like, okay, here's what's happening. Here's what is moving. The market's doing this. This is the type of day we're in. I don't know what type of day we're going to have tomorrow. Hopefully we open up flat. Maybe we can get a rally and then a sell-off. No idea. Absolutely no idea. But what I'm going to be looking for is compression and how the names react to the fib levels once I put them up, and how they react to the EMAs 221. Once I have that, I have my idea for those stocks and names. I'll flip through my however many charts I like to look at. These charts, other than CFEI and DWAC, I don't really trade those. But I'll look through these. I'll see which ones are moving how I want them to. Moving in a manner that is in line with the price action I talked about on this show and that I've showed in the last 4 or 5 videos. The main topic has just been price action, tape reading, and stuff like that. And then I'm going to trade those names with targets and money management that's not 100% risk to the 127 level. Because you could have drove your fib wrong. You could have done all this other stuff. So what I'm just going to be looking for is, like, okay, you do that in your trade. All right, now if you take your profits off, if you just want to scalp it, that's fine. You take 50, 75% off it at the 100%, whatever it is. And I'm going to, even if you just want to scalp every 1 minute breakdown, doesn't matter. You have a trade idea and a trade plan. I'm just trying to show you how to identify where you're at in the movement. Tesla was extremely easy to identify that you were going to be in a range bound chop. You can still trade that if that's what you like to trade. Other names like Roku, Amazon, to me, were much easier to realize they were actually going to make a move. You could identify that by all of those other things. Amazon reacted how we wanted it to, how I wanted it to, off the 200. Because when Amazon went and broke, it broke through the 200, failed to get back above it, and went down. So the next time we came up, I was looking to short Amazon because of how we reacted here. And we were in a compressed state right here. So I thought we were going lower. I actually thought we were going much lower. We didn't because the market didn't flush. Doesn't matter. That was the trade idea. It worked. I took almost all my risk off here and got stopped out, break even on the rest of it here. It was fine. It was a good trade for a choppy day. Identify, find your strength, find your edge. In my opinion, what I talked about in this video is going to help you find your edge. Practice doing it. Ask questions during the day if you want to. Hit us up, in the middle of the day. If you want to ask something, you can ask it in chat. If I see it, I'll take a look at the chart. And if you see stuff that's showing like what Roku is seeing and I'm not watching it or something else like that, Google or some of these other names, let me know. Like I'd love to rotate. I'd love to rotate over and trade other things. We don't have to just trade one name. The other stuff works like this. And Once you start seeing this big picture stuff and then zooming down and finding which name is trading how you want it to trade, you can do really well even on tough days like today. So great job today, guys. I hope you all did well and didn't get too bad. It's a good way to start off the week, kind of chill and light. See if I missed any questions. Yep. You're welcome, guys. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for the pre-market show in Discord. And then over in the NewsBeat live room. You guys are the best. Have a great evening, great night. Get some rest. Come ready to go to work tomorrow and, rob this market. We're going to have our bandanas up in the morning, guys.